Welcome to Veteran State of Mind. I'm your host, Geraint Jones. Good to be back with you. Thanks for joining us. If you're joining for the first time, a very warm welcome to you. And if you are one of our regular honoured guests, then welcome back, guys. I appreciate that you've been telling your friends about the podcast. I appreciate that you're helping us grow. Every time you make a post and spread the word, helps us grow. Every time you tell a mate, helps us grow. Every time you leave a review, helps us grow. Unless it's a shit review, which kind of has the opposite effect. So please don't do that. But guys, really appreciate it. Thanks for coming here. My book, Brothers in Arms, came out in paperback on Thursday. I want to say thank you so much to everyone who picked up a copy. And if you haven't picked up a copy and you'd like to do that and help support the book and myself, I would really appreciate it. And if you can't afford the book, it's a few quid, and I know times are tough, and I know we have young listeners, then if you'd still like to help out, if you could make a post about it, that would be awesome. You don't necessarily need to have the book to support the book. So if you could do that, I'd be really, really thankful. And you know what else I'm thankful to? The people at the Royal British Legion, because they have been helping people like you and me, veteran listeners, for over 100 years. The families too. They do it. What I should say is they do it by putting out their own programs, their own advice. They put out a lot of content that just sometimes, it's not even about, right, here's some money for doing something. Like, a lot of the stuff that they do is just raising awareness about campaigns that are largely forgotten. So, if we look recently, we've got, quite rightly, we celebrated, because it is a celebration, because we're celebrating people's courage and sacrifice, the 76th anniversary of D-Day. But we can't forget about other campaigns. We can't forget about the campaigns in Italy. We can't forget about the Atlantic campaign. We can't forget about the air campaigns. We can't forget about Burma and the war in the East. All of these sacrifices are all equal in their importance, and our gratitude and knowledge of them should be equal too. And the Royal British Legion are very instrumental in making sure that happens. So please check them out at Royal British Legion on Instagram and social media, and at rbl.org.uk. Check them out, guys. They up their content game every week. I'm always impressed by seeing what they put out. So please check them out. But today's episode is also made possible to the veteran-owned and veteran-operated Zulu Alpha Strap Company. Bombers watch straps for alley blokes. Zulu Alpha straps know how important it is to be in the right place at the right time. And you know what? Looking bloody good when you get there too. Giving the enemy something to swoon over. If you spent money on a nice watch, then you don't want it falling off your wrist, do you? And, if you're a military person, or if you're a first responder, or if you're just a very vigorous gardener, or a vigorous whatever, moving your wrists around, then you need to have something holding that nice timepiece in place. So please, please, please check out Zulu Alpha Straps at Zulu Alpha Straps on Instagram. Check them out. I tag them up in the posts. I tag up all these guys in the posts. Big thanks to Camouflage, spelt with a K. They are a very alley, veteran-owned company. What do? They do surveillance. They do investigations. If you've got something that needs looking into, go to Camouflage. If you've got an area that needs surveilling or investigating, they are your go-tos. This could be anything from online searches to physical OPs. So check them out if you think you've got anything that falls into those categories. Honestly, if you've got anything where you think, like, you know what, I need some security equipment, check out Camouflage. If you've got, right, I need a person looking into, check out Camouflage. I got some property that needs either surveillance on it, because you might have, you might have a claim going against someone. You might have a claim because somebody is saying that they, you might have someone that's got a claim against you, saying that they got a dodgy leg because you hit them with a car. And then Camouflage come round, they jump in a bush, get the old binos out, and they see the guy doing cartwheels across his garden. Stuff like that they can help you with. So check them out at camouflage.co.uk. Remember, it's spelled with a K. And at Camouflage Ltd, one word, on the social media. Also want to give a big thanks to our long-time sponsor, Altberg Boots, specialist boot makers for over 40 years. Altbergs are fantastic. I've been wearing myself for 14 years, and I recommend them highly. I've still got the same ones that I've had for over a decade. They are really, Really good boots. I like the Warriors for the ankle support when I go walking. I use the microlights in the desert. They look super alley. In fact, those desert microlights might have been the beginning of my transformation to alley essence battlefield model. That might have been the time. Check them out at altberg.co.uk. If you got a pair, send in a nice photo of you with them, maybe on a mountain, maybe on an obstacle course, maybe, I don't know, whatever you're up to, just send them in. Send them in. We'll chuck them up on the social media because I know that you are like me and you are desperate for fame and attention. So we'll get you up there. We'll get you up on the internet. And a big thank you also to Frontier Risks Group, home of the world's leading practical training course in security risk management consultancy. Frontier Risks Group is an amalgamation of a number of leading companies in their fields, guided by a team who have equal experience and expertise in their respective domains. They cover all kinds of the world of security, guys. Crisis management, intelligence and analysis, compliance, workplace investigations, and more. And they have placed their former students into companies like, where we got here, Netflix. That's a big one. You all know Netflix. BBC, you all know that. CNN, you all know them. You might not like them, but you know them. Deloitte, BAE Systems, Apple, travel expedition companies. They're going to be booming next year because everyone's fed up of being at home. So get your foot in the door now. Head over to frontierrisks.com. Check out what they've got to offer you. If you are a veteran of any rank or background, you need to check them out. frontierrisks.com. All right. Today's guest is a very impressive gentleman. He was a member of the Parachute Regiment, also known as the Reg. Then he transferred across into the PT company, where he has basically been instrumental in revolutionising the way that the army trains its soldiers, and that is not a overstatement. He is, of course, Coach Mike Chadwick. Mike, welcome back to the podcast, buddy.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm looking forward to getting home and trying out those exercises you gave me earlier, off camera.
You won't be.
Yeah, for people listening, I'm suffering from something that Mike says is quite common for people. Basically, I'll tell you what. I'm sure a lot of people listening have bad backs. So, Mike, explain to people what was it you were telling to me about why is like lower back issues?
Normally from underactive glutes, overactive quads. So people with weak glutes, weak core, predominantly overuse injuries. I'm pretty confident you would probably fall in line with many of the senior soldiers and senior ranked officers in the army and in the Marines, where they've gone from tabbing around, doing excessive loads, junk mileage throughout the whole careers, then all of a sudden they've just stopped, switched everything off and sat on a desk. And that's no good to anyone. And you see that quite common. So quite a lot of clients, the whole reason I started individualising training was because I got posted to a place in Chilwell with the engineers who are predominantly seniors and above. And the exact same as what you just said there, the most common injury there was lower back and predominantly all of that. So that's how individualising training came about, because I had to figure out a way how to program each and every one of those people. And it all came back to the original statement I just said. It was just underactive glutes and a weak core. I spoke to many physios, many doctors. We all came up with the same analysis, and then we all hypothesised the same treatment. And it was just about switching those glutes back on and getting that trunk nice and stable and bomb-proof. And lo and behold, it worked.
So what are you primarily using when you tab? Tab, for Americans listening, by the way, is like rucking. It's basically chuck a big fucking bag on your back with a load of shit in it. So what's primarily getting used when you're tabbing?
What should be primarily getting used is, well, very clearly is your lower limbs. But what people take advantage of is the fact that their core needs to be switched on as well. So if you was to add loads of something in and around that midsection, you need to provide stiffness. So proximal stiffness, so the core being the proximal area, allows distal movement, distal being the legs and the arms. So if that trunk is nice and stable, then when you add load, and the heavier that load gets, the more stability you need, the more strength you need. And everything else can move freely. But if that core is not stable and you're moving from left to right, and you become inefficient very, very quickly. And that's predominantly how you start seeing people spanking on tabs, and loaded marches, yonks, whatever you want to call it. But very quickly, because it all comes back down to you've got a really weak core. And you see it very, very, very clearly in depot when you've got a really good runner who turns up, and Sandhurst as well. Really good runners turn up, and all of a sudden they start adding load, and it's just a different ball game. And they start suffering really because they've never really worked that. They've never added a lot of load into that midsection. So predominantly going uphill, you need big, strong glutes. Then coming back downhill is big, strong quads to add stability for your legs.
So, like, if you were a strong tabber, then you probably did have all that stuff. And then it's like, what? And then once you start sitting in a chair and working from a chair, there's you just lose the strength over time. Because I've never dropped out of a tab in my life, but I think it'd be fair to say now that my core strength now is probably wank, I think is the technical term.
Yeah, and I'm glad you just got that on video. So make sure your followers hear that you just said. But yes and no. So probably in your era, mate, a ticking time bomb. So your era is all about grizzing it. It's heavy volume all through training, all through battalion. Heavy load, loads and loads of volume. Strength was neglected. It's only like a big scary word that's coming out now in terms of people using strength training in and around training, and throughout battalions now. But back then, it was people just grizzed it out. But then again, you had a different childhood. So many people have now. So you used to run and move a lot and climb trees, and you play out quite a lot. So your body was built quite differently heading into the army. But yes, in terms of now you've switched off, if you don't use it, you lose it. So when you sat down your ass, it's going to go at some point. It has to go unless you keep. Same as mat breathing, exactly the same in terms of skill, Faith, only in a physical sense, mate.
So it's the irony that your ass gets bigger but actually gets weaker.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is it's an interesting one about that the kids and stuff, then, mate. So I never really thought about that. Is it less? What's the kind of like sporting background and stuff of most kids going into Harrogate? And I don't mean that derogatory way when I say kids, but physically they are kids, right?
Xbox.
No, so like the kid. Oh, sorry, Xbox is the answer.
That's the sport. That's the answer. Yeah.
Oh, right, right. Fuck.
Yeah, it's an absolute plethora of individuals. Everyone turns up at a completely different level. Exactly same as any other training establishment in the country, probably in the world. Every single person turns up on the start line different. Again, going back to individualising training. That's why it's so paramount, because you'll have 1,000 people in Harrogate at one time, and all of them are built differently. And it's even more so in adolescents because they're all growing at different rates as well. So it becomes a whole different ball game. In adults, it's slightly easier because you can manipulate them to a way that predominantly the bodies have stopped growing. So you've got access to manipulate those quite easy. But when people's limbs are growing a few inches every month, it's very difficult to start adding load onto them at certain points, which is a different subject. So every single person is different. So some people have come from elite sporting backgrounds and played at academy level, national swimmers, national boxers, and then some people have genuinely never ran, never even got themselves out of breath. They've never got into a different level of heart rate. They've just stayed static their whole lives. And the first time they run is when a big scary screw talks them through the gate. Mm-hmm. And so again, prehistorically, what people used to do is their training would start and end exactly the same way. So there'd be no individualization. It would be jump on this and this will make you better. Hence why a lot of the injury rate was through the roof. Pass rates were probably so low. But all that's starting to change, and I'm glad I played a small part in that. Yeah,
it's I think it's really sad when you hear about people that haven't. You get to 16 years old and you've never pushed your body. It's a really kind of sad. But I think like for a lot of adults in general, that's the case, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mate, I wanted to get your opinion on something when we were talking about performance. What's your thoughts on performance enhancing drugs in the military in military use? Because we see a lot of people using them in sports for, obviously, names on the tin, performance enhancing. What's your kind of thing? Because I'm just thinking, like, you were talking about adolescence. Obviously, one of the things that that's different about those kids is some kids have got higher testosterone levels than others. Oh, I mean that's something that's true throughout life anyway. But in these early phases of childhood. So, like, what's your, as a fitness professional, what's your kind of opinion on soldiers using PEDs?
Well, in a fitness context, though, mate, you've probably got the most amount of people you'd be working with is probably 20, and even then, breaking down as an S&C coach, you've probably got 1 to 4. In especially thinking about football. So when you've got a core bloke or woman at a battalion or a unit of 500, 600, 700 people, you can't really prescribe and analyze the performance enhancing drugs. You would never be able to keep hold of it all and keep everything in track. So it could go wrong really, really quickly. I completely get what you're saying, that we're military and we can enhance any way we possibly can. But performance enhancing drugs is a deep subject where, even nutrition, I've got a low level of nutrition qualification. That's why you very rarely get me talking about nutrition. As far as I go, I take protein.
Yeah.
And so that could be something in terms of performance enhancing supplements, which would be very, very good. And we can talk about getting involved in that. But in terms of drugs, people haven't got big enough badges to be making those calls, and especially haven't got the nous and the know-how to keep track of making those calls for up to 700 people. Work. I think I completely get what you're saying, and we can make gains in any way we can. But I just think it'd be a dark hole if we start going down that way.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I stand on it, mate, to be honest. I'm definitely not in favour of kicking people out for them. I'll say that. But I don't know if it's something that should be encouraged either. But that's kind of what I see on it. The supplements and stuff is an interesting one too, because when I was first in, I'm sure the same with you. People could just have it. You could just take, as long as it wasn't illegal, like a steroid, you could take whatever. But that's changed since, hasn't it? Because let's be honest, like caffeine is a supplement. You ain't getting through an exercise without a fucking healthy dose of caffeine. For most people, I mean, tea is the linchpin of the British Army, isn't it? Really,
we won a couple of wars on tea.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've also fought some wars for opium as well, so we've got a bit of a checkered past in that one. But was that something that you saw coming during your service? Was the time like when they started bringing in, different these. You had to be able to buy you had to buy proteins. I think it's proteins from certain suppliers and stuff.
Yeah, so the terminology is you have to buy protein from that's been stamped with what's called informed sports. But again, I can start talking about informed sports in a different manner now that obviously I'm on my way out the door. In the sense that is just a stamp. It's one of the the lowest level of stamps as well. We're not talking about NADA and Olympic level testing here. It's just someone has got their foot in the door of the military and said, we'll stamp it to make sure it's okay. Pay us this and that. So there's supplements out there that are absolutely fine that aren't on informed sports, but they're just supplements. You'll never get picked up at an Olympic testing camp. So I don't understand why you couldn't have it in the military as well. Yeah,
it seems a bit weird to me, mate. Like, that it just smelt a bit fishy of like backhanders and all that kind of stuff when I saw that. I'm like, hang on, who decided to be... Like, I saw it in the private security industry as well. All of a sudden, right, we're the company that signs off on like who can work on a ship doing security, and then you're like, oh, and you happen to be the same people on board the directors who are the ones that run the courses. I kind of feel that there's a bit of that going on there.
Yeah, exactly that, mate. So you've got to be, you've got to be careful with what you take and stuff, but you'd be absolutely fine. You're buying stuff from, you've got your reputable brands like Combat Fuel, that you'd be absolutely fine.
Yeah. So are you someone that advocates for do you think protein? You mentioned protein. That's something that you do supplement your diet with. What would you say? Yeah. What would you say to like younger people listening to this? Like, I'll go through a couple of examples. Like, first of all, like younger people, what should they be listening or looking for in their diet if they're looking to do an active job like the military?
So first of all, food is king. Everything you can possibly get that you need to supplement, and supplement's a term that means in place of, but I would never say take a supplement in place of food. You can get everything you need from your normal daily diet, but arduous activity will take a toll on the muscles, and protein can help to synthesize those by taking a good reputable brand of protein, and you can help in that recovery in that sense. So as far as I go, I pretty much only take protein, and that's it. And when you start going down other routes, again, I haven't got a big enough badge to start talking about stuff like that. I understand it, but for me to try and give some people advice on it, it would be wrong of me, because I'm not a doctor in nutrition or anything like that. So I always have the consideration that if I'm going to say something, I better be willing to back it up. So that I if you're going to do anything, take protein.
Yeah, and that's same for people serving.
Same for people serving. But there's people out there, who are doing training for going above and beyond. So they don't just want to be your normal soldier and get by every day. They need to overload the muscles in a certain way. They need to train harder than everyone else, so they will be deficient in calories. What you don't want to be doing is losing too much body weight. So the way I do it is I just take protein. I try to get as much protein as I can in my diet, but to supplement that lack of calories I tend to get in. As you can tell, I'm losing weight because I'm in Skinny Runners Club through lockdown, is I try to supplement that with protein. And that's as far as I go and as far as I ever advise on.
Do you have a target? Do you have a target for your protein intake every day?
No, I take a protein shake most days, unless I have a heavy protein dinner. But there's not a target, and there's no numbers that I would like to throw out there as well, because again, it's all on an individual basis, and I wouldn't want to provide advice. Nutrition, mate, is the absolute devil in the fitness world.
I'm going to keep asking you nutrition questions, mate, now.
Keep going, mate.
Right, okay.
Absolute king of bluffing, mate. I'll just keep batting them off.
What is some of the key mistakes you see people making the nutrition when they leave the military? Because I'll start you off on one that I see, right? So that I'm putting my head on the chopping block here too.
Yeah.
It's when you're in the army, you're young and you're doing a lot of fucking running around. Even on a normal day in camp, you're doing PT and being up in the sheds, cleaning the sheds out and stuff. You're moving around, and you're eating a certain level. You're having a certain calorie intake, and then when you leave, if you keep going on that same calorie intake, but all of a sudden you take PT out of the question, you're then going to start turning into what I like to describe as a fat cunt, because you are going to have you're going to have a calorie excess. And then that's going to get stored as fat. So that's one thing I see really common with people that leave. You see someone that you knew that was in the army a year ago, and you're like, Jesus Christ. Like, you can put on some clay fast once you get out. Yeah,
so it's calories in v calories out. When you start taking fizz out of the game with that as well. You see, and again, I go back to the senior buds. Not all of them are the same, but you pass seniors. Or you do your cardio to become a major. And you see it then, because they start getting desk-bound. So physical activity goes out the window very, very quickly, and he starts explaining that they haven't got enough time or enough space in the day to fit it in. So they're still taking on those calories, though, because the body still needs them, because the body still thinks it's going to be doing that phys. So it wants those calories in order to do that. So it takes a while for your body to then realise, well, hang on a minute, I'm not burning this. It's too late by then. You're on an absolute downward spiral. So you see it quite a lot with people leaving, in the fact that they've gone from doing so much to so little. And in all honesty, mate, I found it exactly the same when I joined PT Corps.
Well, from free para?
From True Para, I joined PT. So I was up at depot. I was teaching. I was teaching the potential paratroopers up at depot. So I'd gone from doing 4 or 5 sessions a day, intense sessions, loads and loads of miles, loads of volume, loads of intensity, to then sitting behind a desk and dictating people's press-up results. And it was just going. I couldn't get my head around it first. I really struggled with it, but I'd gone from doing so much to so little very quickly. I had to go on and do it myself. Thankfully, I've got that type of mindset to crack on, but a lot of people do not, and they find themselves in really deep spirals.
I think it's really sad, mate, that it's like, again, going back to those kids turning up at Harrogate that haven't ever done any phys. At least they're now in a position to change that. But there's a lot of people that only did phys in the military because they were told that they had to do it. There's a lot of people that never wanted to be out there doing PT. I don't know. You'd see the people that go out and do their extras on top of it. And I think it's really kind of a shame because like once you get out of that habit, it's so hard to get back into, isn't it? Especially then once if you've got a few miles on your knees, and like you said, like the old way of grizzing it out. If you used to grizz it out, you've put a lot of miles on your body, then you put on weight, then you're a bit older, then you're busier. To get back in that habit is so fucking hard.
Yeah, it is hard, man. Family takes over, work takes over. It is really hard. I do feel sorry for some people in terms of the amount of time in the day and that it's slipping away from them. But you've got to take ownership of that, unfortunately.
Well, how like what kind of amount of time? Because obviously anything's better than nothing, right? But realistically, how much time do you need set aside to make meaningful difference in your fitness?
It depends how hard you work, but then the harder you work, the bigger foundation of strength you need. So you need to spend a little bit of time in those areas to make sure that your body is primed and ready to work that hard. So if some people have only got 10 minutes in the day, then you have to, that's going to be an intense session to get what you need to do in 10 minutes, but your body's going to have to be primed enough to do that. One of the ones we can talk about is the lad's called Joe Wicks. You see him doing all the lean and 15 and stuff.
The guy, he's got like shoulder length curly hair. He's always got books in Sainsbury's and places.
Yeah, the bloke who's injured every month is because he's doing absolute volume in 15 minutes, saying this will change your life. Some people can do that who's already got a platform of strength. His clientele who he's searching for is these people who you've just discussed and said, my last chance saloon is I need to go out and do something. I've got 15 minutes to spare. Joe Wicks is my man. So he turns up and starts burping for 15 minutes. And he's just in absolute disarray. He's not going to come back again. Because A, he's overloaded too quick and his DOMs are going to last for about 3 weeks. And then B, he's probably going to be injured the same as Joe Wicks because he's done too much too soon. And that's the majority of his clientele. So if you want to do intense sessions, you're going to have to put a little bit of time to the side to build up to that. And once you can do that, then, but again, and it all comes back down to time and how much. But relative prescription is key. So it depends on what you want to achieve and what you want to get out of it. If you want to prolong your life, then you've got to do exercise. So work isn't everything. Money isn't everything. You want the rest of your life, then you've got to take some time out. Get up earlier, find a way.
I guarantee most of us spend more than 15 minutes a day on social media.
Of course.
Like that's that to me, to anyone listening that says I don't have the time, get rid of all your social. Just doesn't mean close the account down. Delete the apps, delete them off your phone, get them off your computer, and do not go back onto them for a week and see if you still feel the same way. Because I guarantee you, when you add up all the time that you're on those apps, I'm a fucker for it. I know I am. I get so much more done when I have my phone on airplane mode. It's the time is there. I know it's sad I know some people listening are, oh, you don't have kids, you don't understand. No, but I do. I fucking believe me. You can fill your time regardless of whether you've got kids or not. But trying to carve out the time, it comes down to discipline and schedule, isn't it? You gotta plan out your week, plan out your days, and you'll be able to find some time in there. And that, like, even if it was 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week, that will make a difference over the course of your life, and you'll get that time back when you live a longer life.
100%, mate. And as a lad who's now got a 1-year-old, and you can understand that you come home from work and then you've got to go and then share family time, and you want family time, and your missus can give it in your neck because you just got home from work, now you want to go out and do an hour and a half run, or you've got a session that's going to take an hour 20. It can be quite difficult, but they'll understand. You'll come to grips with it, and you share the workload, and you share the fitness training as well. Do it together. When the baby goes to sleep, do it together. Find a way. Take the baby out. Start curling the baby. Some good bicep. As the baby gets bigger, your muscles will overload.
Yeah, mate. I'm a believer as well. Is that, like, if you do phys, like, so the whole family excuse thing has never sat well with me, because it's like, one, aren't you looking to set a good example for your kids? Like, so if you're not,
yes, and you want to be in their life for a long time.
Exactly, exactly, mate. And if you don't get exercise, people get grumpy. Like, you can think that you don't, but I believe me, you're a better version of yourself when you're fitter. So that kid will benefit from having a happier, healthier adult around. So everyone fucking wins on it.
Yeah, 100%. Completely agree.
So, mate, how are you finding the transition at the moment? Because by the time this goes out, you'll probably be out, but like you're on resettlement at the moment. How's all that going for you?
It's all right, to be fair. I mean, isolation's helped that quite a lot because I'd be home anyway. But I've missed out on a bit of resettlement that I wanted to do in terms of courses because they've all been shut, the same as anything. But you react, and as we spoke about before, when there's chaos, there's opportunity. So I'm going into a world where predominantly I'm going to continue with my coaching. I'm going to be helping people take the first step and take the next step for a tactical athlete. Not just tactical athletes, I do help other people in sporting contexts as well. Predominantly my clientele or athletes are tactical athletes. And
so what do you mean by tactical athlete, mate?
Anyone who's in, the armed forces or wants to be in the armed forces, police, fire service, first responders, all those type of people. Someone who you need to be fit predominantly. Well, you need to be fit anyway to save your life one day or save your mate's life. I do a lot of talking about that and how you can improve survivability through physical training. A lot of my posts are all on that. I'm writing an article at the moment about speed and how acceleration is key to survivability, moving from point to point under fire, etc. And I'm doing a little analysis on that as we speak. So that'll be going live on the academy on the website pretty soon. But so the transition's been okay, to be fair. I've never spent so much time with my family. I've been away for so many years. I've never ever been home through the week for years and years and years, unless on leave. So I feel really lucky, mate, and I'm taking this isolation really positively. The majority of tactical athletes are publicly funded, so I've not lost. The applications are still flying in for online personal coaching. My pass rates are still extremely high. So it's people still want to be coached.
Pass rates in units.
So units, anything that you can pretty much consider as a specialist trade, to the top level, pass rates are okay. One of my worst parts about my online personal coaching, about my Instagram, is I have this thing with my athletes that I never ever talk to anyone on social media or anyone else about who I've got on, predominantly because people can't be talked about, they can't be named. And so it started that way, but it's became a thing now that's completely confidential. With that comes a caveat. I can't really say, look at how good this program was for this person. And you'd get a lot more people applying to you that way. But I mean, it's okay. That's part of my process, and part of what you get when you get coached by me is everything's confidential. So predominantly, most of the people, not most of them, but a lot of the people on the start line when you get to a serious course, have probably been coached by me. Probably the ones that are in front of you.
Yeah, I wouldn't want my accountant telling people about how he's been coaching me through my accounting, mostly because people have pissed themselves.
Yeah.
But I think it's important because we're in that day and age where people think that they need to. I do work with people, mate, that no one has any idea about. And some people want to make it public, and for sometimes it's like that's a good thing. But I think, especially not banging on younger people, but not everything needs to go on social media. Not everything you do needs to be put out there. And there's a lot of people value discretion.
Yeah, and
so I think it's a good way.
There's nothing worse than being in a gym and seeing a personal trainer with the camera in a client's face. Absolutely destroys me. That's not what they're paying for. They're paying to get from A to B and start performing. That's it.
Yeah. I tell you what, mate. Let's jump into the world of personal training because I got a bit of experience in here too. And I mean, it's something that I was never fucking really happy with. And I mean, you have a ton of experience on top of what I've done. So I'd love to know your take on it. What's your kind of thoughts towards the general personal training world? Let's break it down first into let's do gym trainers and then let's do online trainers. So what's your kind of feelings towards what you see in like commercial gyms with personal trainers?
So in commercial gyms, you can get a personal training qualification now off Groupon for about a tenner. And, you can then go into the world and start training people. That's quite scary. And that's normally an exercise instruction. So you tell people what to do. You've got no left or right. You've got no cues how to amend that. That's why I don't consider myself a personal trainer. I have got a personal training qual, but my degree's in coaching. So I consider myself a coach because I coach people to perform rather than instruct them and tell them what to do. So you've got to be very, very careful in the personal training world. And, some personal trainers are absolutely incredible and their qualification doesn't fit the narrative. But a lot of personal trainers just haven't got the ability to make sure everything's still safe. And you can't denote who's going to be good and who's going to be bad unless you experience it, which is quite scary. And where the world's going to go in personal training, I don't know, because the world after coronavirus has finally gone away. The need for fitness is still going to be there, even more so. People are starting to take health and fitness even more serious now. But whether personal trainers can survive this time, I don't know. So potentially the need's going to be there, but there's going to be a huge gap in the market for a good personal trainer or a good coach to go and fill that. So I would like to think that the top personal trainers and the top coaches will remain constant or rise, where the ones who are unsafe with, zero experience, etc. And everyone's got to have a chance, and they will become better at some point. Yeah. But there's people's lives and bodies at stake for those experiences. You've got to study and work hard to get where you want to be. A lot of people don't want to do the hard graft.
I think, that's a great point. I think a lot of people see it as an easy job.
Yeah.
And so I think the average that people last as a personal trainer is usually 3 months, because that's when, like, in the first month they give you don't have, so people might not know this, but you, as a personal trainer in most commercial gyms, you pay the gym to work there. So you get access to their clients. So let's say in your first month you pay 0 rent, and your second month you pay $250, and your third month you have to pay $500 at the gym. Well, you've got to make £500 before you're even breaking even. And then, so that's why a lot of people pack it in, and you'll notice that you'll see the same trainers popping up in different gyms all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, it's because they're getting to month 3 or 4, and then they're falling through, and then they're starting again somewhere else. And unfortunately, the chains themselves have got a lot to answer for about why the quality of people aren't that good. Because all they're interested in is, am I getting, let's say they can have 10 personal trainers in a place, paying £500 a month. They're getting $5,000 in off them trainers. They're not really asked what those trainers are doing with people. They're interested in that money coming in every month.
Exactly. And yeah, like I said before, there's people's bodies at stake with that. And what you see 9 times out of 10 is you'll go and conduct this amount of reps, this amount of sets, times this amount, go. It's a circuit. I mean, it's pretty much what the army was 5 years ago. It's exactly that, but one-on-one. Yeah. Where you need to start dictating tempo, you need to prescribe resistance. What reps and sets have you tested them prior? How is this exercise going to affect the next? And how is this session going to affect the next? How did the previous session affect this one? Do you run first or do you squat second? What do you do that exercise first and that one second? What are you going to be doing in 3 weeks' time? How do you know they've made progress? People don't look at it that way. They just look at it as, right, I've got an hour with this client, he's paid me X amount of money, I'm going to destroy them. So they think they've had a hard session, they're going to come back. They're not going to come back. You will get acute, very, very acute gains on that. After that, you're going to drop very, very quickly.
Yeah, and I'll say this as well, because having been a personal trainer, some people don't give a fuck about getting fit. They want to be there. They want someone to talk to for an hour while they're in the gym, and that's okay too.
I get that.
It's their money, you know.
I completely get that.
Yeah, and so unless, like, you know, if they want to do something that's just a bit of fun or whatever, then that's great. There's no problem with that. But at the same time, you know, there really is the possibility of injuring people, and then there's so much, like, some people might be recovering from cancer. They might be on certain kinds of medication. Like, there's so many levels to this that it seems bonkers that we could just be like, right, you've done this little course, off you go. And then you're taking this person. I don't think you wouldn't do that for people's mental health. You wouldn't be like, right, go and see this person, go and see this therapist they did a group on. Yeah.
And it's hit trained, isn't it? It's go back to Joe Wicks. It's the Joe Wicksism. He's that'll become a thing now. By the way, it'll be in my inbox.
Beef, standard beef.
Yeah, why not? I'll thrash him. But there is a place for overload. We do need to overload the body, but what we don't need, and what we need to try and to avoid, is excessive and ill-timed overload, along with inadequate recovery. Because if you do a HIIT session with someone who's never trained before...
So can you just explain HIIT to people, mate?
High intensity interval training. It's a lot of people will know it. It's became a very a common term in most households now. It's arduous activity as quick as possible. It's back to that. I've only got 10 minutes. I'm going to destroy myself. That analogy you used earlier. That would be something that would be high intense. But again, you need a very strong foundation of strength to do that.
Right. Yeah. So like this celebrity kind of, so I suppose at one end of the scale we've got people that have done a Groupon course, and then at the other end of the scale we've got people like yourself who have done like coaching courses, is it masters you did and all that kind of stuff, or a lot of education, a lot of thesis and all that. Then in the middle we've got the celebrity kind of thing, which is they actually have no qualifications, but a lot of people take their fitness guidance from these people as well. What's that kind of like as a professional looking in on it? That must be fucking frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, it is and it isn't. It's frustrating, but people who are frustrated with it are predominantly jealous of it. And there is a sense of jealousy in myself in terms of what you just said. People rise to the top with programs coming out left, right, and centre, and they've not earned the right to. Some people have gone and done selection and became, blades, and then they release a training program with zero backing on that. You've got people who've gone on Love Island who've got an incredible body, but they've got zero backing to how to get there. They've got their body in that way.
Yeah.
It's a different ballgame to get someone else's body to do that.
Yeah.
It's a very, very different ballgame to do that. And predominantly it's people who are jealous that, and I, like I say, I get a little, I don't get jealous. Some of them slide into my DMs and ask for advice, etc. I keep seeing it more and more often. A lot of people are using my work. And people are even now just using the work and the pictures. So they're not even trying to change the narrative of it. They're just straight away reposting it. And I get sent them all the time. Every time, whoever's listening, every time you post something that's mine, someone sends it times 10. I don't care. I actually, it's quite a nice feeling that people like my work and they want to pass that on. My whole world is about passing knowledge on and about making more than one person fit and healthy. It'd be nice to be acknowledged for it, but if it's helping someone, then crack on. But what you don't want to see is these celebrities going around hurting people and making people take backward steps because they found a name for themselves, and all of a sudden they've now got 200,000 people on their books, all doing the wrong movement. You will get 20 people out of those who achieve something. They adapt because that's actually been specific for them. 1 in a million. What they'll do is they'll repost that transformation of that 1 in a million. And then another 200,000 people will be on it the following day. But you'll always get that. What you don't get is individualising training, and that's where the top S&C coaches come in. And you've got the people who's accredited UKSCA who are all over their work. And you look at their Instagram and stuff, and they've got like 200-300 followers. Not that denotes who's a good coach and who isn't, because that's really good. Not it does not.
Yeah, sure.
But you just think, I just wish their work would get out there. It's one of the reasons why I've done the academy. On the Tactical Athlete website, it's so people are sharing their knowledge and sharing their experiences and helping people in the tactical world to get better and to strive for more. And whether that's taking the first step or the next step, someone will get help from that, and that's what makes me happy. And if someone wants to steal that, craft. In fact, I did actually see someone else called. They've just changed their website to the academy. So, it doesn't bother me, mate.
I think there's a lot to be said for having people share your ideas, because nobody owns an idea or whatever.
I haven't gone and spent 20 years in a laboratory taking an idea. I've read that somewhere. Everything I do, I've read, and I've put 2 or 3 different bigwig doctors' theories and hypotheses together and trialed it myself. But I've got that from somewhere. And then what a good coach goes and does is practices it and then makes slight adjustments for their athlete where it needs be. But you always get the information from, the people who with the qualifications who are sat in a laboratory doing these testing measures.
I feel exactly the same way, mate. Like the stuff I say on social media and stuff, these aren't original thoughts to me. These are thoughts that I've picked up through so the same way that you're looking into research from labs.
Yeah.
I'm looking into textbooks from history.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm looking at what philosophers have said through history, and then I'm just repackaging it for the situation. I'm not that, but that's fine. I do think online, I think people should do a better job of I think, in the same way that you credit whatever sources you use, people should credit. I just think that's good manners. But mate, tell us more about the academy though. What is that? Why should people check it out?
So the academy is a single international platform where I have gone and got every leading coach in most of the major militaries around the world, and I've got them to all write basically the research we've just been talking about, package that into everyday talk. So they're talking about what the American Airborne did 3 years ago. So the idea is that in a couple of years' time, if let's say the PT go, I've got an idea, I'm going to strip all that out, and we're going to trial the back squat as a testing measure to dictate whether you can join the paras or not. So what's going to happen there is they'll go on and someone will go, well, actually, I've just read that the American US Marines tried that 3 years ago. Didn't work. Here's all the research to back that up. Let's contact this guy, ask him how he did, scrap that, done. It saves people hours upon hours and hours. And we go back to where we say, my whole life now is I read and read and read. And what I then do is try and interpret that reading and research and science and put it into how people can understand it. And that's basically what the academy is. So it's in a blog format for the coaches who are writing it, who've all got backed up by science. They've all got degrees, masters, some doctors on there. And then underneath the blog type section is the academic research. So you can then go, and if you are that way inclined, you can read further and you get deeper and deeper and deeper. So in the end, it's going to be, you can click on a country or you can click on a name and you can go to every bit of research that's on that name or country. And what there'll just be thousands and thousands of articles about anything you want to know. So for PTIs and core blokes and core women who want to adapt and evolve their game in our world, then they can continue to read, but they can read in a way that is not so boring and it's put into real-time situation, real-time experience. So I took this research from 1998 and I trialed it with the paras at AFC, and this is what happened. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that, mate.
Is there anything between, it could be changed or it could be changing for all I know. When I was a PTI. So as a PTI, you had the basic knowledge of stuff. I mean basic.
Yeah. And
then you had people in the corps. Feels like maybe there needs to be something in between the two of them, like a more advanced level PTI. Because this individualization stuff, I know obviously each unit has a core guy. But like you said, there's hundreds of people in a unit, So that's a lot of work. It feels like the PTI needs to take on a lot of this individualizing training, and I'm not sure throwing logs over your head, which is something they seem really interested in on the PTI course.
Yeah.
Is like that really has much to do with individualizing training. Is there anything in between, or is there any courses like that now, or is there something that has been looked at?
No, not really, mate. I mean, the PTI course has got even shorter since you've done it, and
oh really?
Yeah. So, and then the step up to a PT course got even greater.
Right.
But what has changed is class 1 course, so probation going into the PT course. That has changed dramatically now. UKFCA came in and did a lot of change, a lot of great work to make the core bloke a lot more rounded. So they're not the finished article. And what they did is when you then pass in, you then go to the unit. What you then have is another step above that as such, where you have a small group of individuals known as the brains, and we used to travel around and upskill them, so through annual deficit training. And what you do is you go and upskill everyone around the country and give them new terminology, new science, basically go and deliver what I would like to consider the academy doing now, is go and just make sure people are up to standard, up to scratch. This is a new concept we're trialing. What do you think about that? Have you got any experience? Because you've got to remember, you've got a couple hundred PT core people in who, what I thought was going to be, would be at top of their game, research led, unbelievable in the S&C world. That's why I was trying so hard to be so good at my job. You'd think, let's take some. It doesn't matter if you're a sergeant or you're a major. Ask them. They're on the ground. Have they got experience? What do they think? You got some sergeants now with masters and doctors, and ask them. Get them to go and deliver it. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a certain rank to go and deliver it, because predominantly the ones at the highest rank of the PT Corps at the moment, it's almost upside down at the moment.
Yeah, I bet.
They're the ones who got themselves fit back in the 90s to go and get themselves that job. Where it's changed now, and people are getting a lot more academic as opposed to physically sound.
Yeah.
And you need both. You do need to be rounded, but I think academia is the way forward for the PT Corps.
That's good, mate. I like it. What are some of the biggest myths that you've come across? Doesn't have to be in the army with army fitness, but just in fitness in general. What are some of the biggest myths that you kind of see that you think this would be a good opportunity to debunk for people? Because it is one of those most misunderstood areas, and I think one of the things is we have a tendency to. There can be a tendency to overcomplicate things, but then there can be, like in the Army's case, there can be a tendency to massively simplify things by, right, we're all going for a run at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's going to be the best thing for everyone's fitness, So what are the kind of the ones that you've seen?
The biggest one that I keep seeing, and I keep getting, I asked the question earlier on Instagram, what would they like us to talk about? And one of the major ones was, how often do I need to tab prior to joining the Army? And that's so I know you're talking about current soldiers at the moment, but the biggest one that I can probably get off my chest now is about tabbing joining the Army. I did a post not so long ago in regards to getting ready for the start point, not the end point. And it's very, very clear picture that people, you do not need to tab to go to training. During my online personal coaching, if people wanted to be coached by me prior to joining the military, I will not get you to tab. What I will do is give you a sound platform, a very strong foundation of strength, so that your incredible instructors at your training unit can go and mold you. That's the plan. And you will stay injury-free and efficient, and you will just be the best student in the world, because you can move in a certain way for a certain amount of time, and you can then evolve into that tabbing machine that you want to be. But you do not need to do that before you go to training. All you need to do is switch on those glutes, get a bomb-proof core, improve leg strength, and you'll be absolutely fine.
So it sounds like core's like a big deal in injury prevention then.
Yes, mate. It's been neglected for so long. And one of my primary projects that I dealt with whilst I was in was a concept known as Op Achilles. And that was all built around glute activation and trunk stability. And that pass rate went up to 88.5% for junior soldiers trying out for P Company.
Mate, so what, again, I don't know what the fitness tests are now. So the back in the day fitness test of doing sit-ups, is the sit-ups a good indication of core strength or not?
No, not really, mate. No, it's a good indication of how tight your hip flexors are and how tight they become when you go about to do your 1.5-mile run straight after. But in terms of trunk strength, no, not at all. I mean, you can. My favourite trunks measurement is the side plank.
Side plank.
I take measurements from that. And if you can't measure it, then you can't improve it. So if you don't take measurements, if you don't take testing measures, then you're just going to guess. Predominantly.
How would you measure that? By timing or by
Yeah, it's got to be on time, mate. But you've got to pound it into your athlete that technique is everything. if they want to follow on technique, they don't want to do technique, then they're only going to fail themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as well as like the old count of like 3, 7, 9, 15, like counting on the press ups and zips. It's like if you want to jack on your side planks, you're gonna jack on your side planks. So I want to talk a bit like now, mate, you're about to make your transition into Civvy Street. What's some of the kind of things you're most looking forward to, and what are the kind of like some of the things that you are like kind of like looking ahead for, thinking that there might be difficulties for you, because they're not obviously nothing unsurmountable, but things that you're thinking like, right, this is sort of an area that might be a bit of a something you need to watch out for.
So I'm going to continue with my online personal coaching. I'm going to continue with Tactical Athlete, the website. And then what people don't know is I'm actually staying in and around the reg. So I'm hopefully, don't know if I can say this actually, but I'll do it anyway. Exclusive. I'm I'm going to be commissioning into the Parachute Regiment. So I'm going to be working into the reserve. So
nice.
I'm going to be doing that and keeping my foot in the door in terms of S&C. Predominantly, so Up Achilles is going really well at the moment. Like I've just mentioned, there's scope now to extend that to certain places all around in terms of the paras. It's actually extending even further. So I'll be doing that on a part-time basis. And then another one is I built an algorithm about a year ago where I can prescribe the exact amount of resistance for any muscle group in your body for any training name. So that's now turning into an artificial intelligence personal coaching platform that is being looked at by various people around the world, and I can talk about that now. So that's something that I'll be bringing out in the future that could hopefully go bigger and better. But what I do need in that time is the gyms to open, for my sake and my athletes' sake.
Let me ask you, is that a full para then?
Yes,
is it full para you're going to do?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So what was it that made you make that decision then to keep your foot in the door?
So me leaving the military I didn't make the wrong choice in joining the PT Corps, but I missed the reg so much. I missed being around like-minded people. I was under the mindset that I was going to join the PT Corps and everyone would be the same as me. They'd have the absolute fulfillment of being the best they possibly can in this new world I was going into in terms of strength conditioning and coaching, etc. I didn't find that. People wanted an easy life. Being a PTI, can be as simple or as hard as you want it to be. When I was in the reg, every person strived for the next step. Every single person was like fighting for the next position and being the fittest or being the best at whatever they could possibly do. And I absolutely strived in that environment. I loved it. I missed my friends and stuff like that. So I'd gone from being the absolute top of my game, being a PTI at Chadwick, thinking I was everyone, to, going back into the big wide world. And it's not that I didn't enjoy it, because I did enjoy some aspects of it. I just missed the like-mindedness of the reg. So I want that back in my life.
Yeah. And what are you going to do, like platoon commander?
Yeah, get myself back on it.
That'd be mega.
Not at first. There's because of the Corona stuff. There's a bit of a timeline that's going to be, but I'll just be going in at first. I'm not too sure what rank, but it'll be. I presume I'll go on with the rank I'm at now. They've been told that. I don't know whether that's a sergeant or into a colour sergeant pit, but I don't want that rank in the reg because I haven't earned that rank in the reg. I'm a firm believer that if they want me to be a colour sergeant in the reg, then I'll have to go and get those courses in it before I do that. That's one of the reasons why I've accepted the officer role as well. I got offered commission years ago, and I want to do that now because it's almost like a clean slate.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Did you do juniors before you went to your props, or? I
went straight to ITC.
Right.
So I found my calling at ITC. The plan was, to be honest, I went up to ITC because I wanted to go on selection.
Right.
And then I just fell in love with phys, mate. I literally just realised I was actually all right at this type of stuff. So I started learning, and then I just got deeper and deeper into it and just thought that this is my call and this is my direction now.
Because there is a difference. Like, some people love doing fitness, but you also love the research side of it as well. Yeah. Because I don't think, if you've never looked at, like, if you've people listening that have never looked at some of these papers, we're talking some, I'm going to use a technical term, deep science shit is what I would term it as. Like, Because you have to be next level geek to really kind of be in like to that level of like, because there's one level of interest which is open up a men's fitness magazine and read an article, and it's another level as well to be going through scientific papers, right?
Yeah, and then there's another level as well to try and interpret into people who don't read scientific papers.
Right.
That's the difficult part, is trying to navigate through and pull out what your crowd wants to hear. So especially in a military context where we want to know, just tell me the basics. Give it to me. How far are we going? What time we're going to be there? I'll take that.
How many hours a day are you reading, or how many hours a week would you say that you read?
Completely depends, mate. Predominantly now what dictates that is daddy daycare. But I just try and do as much as I possibly can. When I started studying in 2014 at Depot, I binged my telly, didn't have an Xbox. All I was doing was either doing phys or learning about phys. And I got to myself where a position where people joining the reg, in my head, I had this vision that I am now responsible for these people to get in. And then I had this next wave of, I've got those in, I'm now responsible for keeping them alive and making sure the teams that they go to have a success with them, because they need to stay alive. And I just had this thought that they've got to be the best. There's not a chance I'm putting my name on any one of these people if they aren't up to a certain standard. And I went through Depot like that. So I was doing a full-time degree as well. So I lied to uni and said that I didn't have a job, and so never told the army I was doing a degree. So in the night time, I was actually studying and got a degree smashed out.
That's a great attitude, though, mate. Taking responsibility for the people that you pass. One of the guys we've had on the podcast a couple of times, my mate Paul de Gelder, who he went to did the Navy clearance divers course in Australia, and he was saying that he had people turn up from the other side of Australia, and you had to do 8 chin-ups to get onto the course. And like first day you're there, you do a PT course, and people can do 1 chin-up. And I'm thinking that doesn't just reflect badly on the person; that reflects badly on whoever sent them on the course.
Yeah, of course, yeah, 100%.
So that was so your attitude is like it's obviously noble to want to keep, like, you want people to stay alive and all that stuff, but who you put out reflects directly on you as a person as well. And
still now when they're going on, courses now, I still feel responsible for that base. Again, the first thing that someone asks when you get to battalion is, who's your screw, who's your PTI? Mm. The officers want to know who your boss was, so your name goes in straight away. So whatever turns up, you're involved in them anyway. Yeah, I think that's a really valuable lesson. Anyone listening to this, that's applicable to whatever you work in. Like your interactions will get passed on, your work will get, like, whatever work you pass on. And there's no excuse either, because like Mike could have made the excuse of, these kids came to me unfit, fucking pass them on. It doesn't work. That's not how it works. That's not how the attitude should be to it. If something comes to you subpar, that doesn't mean you can then pass it on subpar, or doesn't mean you should pass it on subpar. Yeah. What's the best place for people to find you right now? It's time to wrap this bad boy up. Let's go fast. Yeah, so best place is through any sort of social media channel. You can just find me at Coach Mike Chadwick. And then my website is tactical-athlete.co.uk. The little line in the middle is the dash, I think it's called. But yeah, tactical-athlete.co.uk. And yeah, I think majority is on Instagram. I think I have got a Facebook page somewhere. If you can find me on there, it gets posted to there as well. So if you're only on Facebook and not Instagram, anything I say comes up on there as well. And my messages come through both now as well, so that's good. Hopefully, mate, we might be out of lockdown by the time this comes out. But what are some, just if you want to leave people with some tips, just general kind of tips on how to stay happy and healthy while you're in lockdown? Do not consider lockdown as a rest. A lot of people are posting about how just, utilise this time to go and see whoever and do whatever and relax and get to know yourself. Fuck that. Go out and be that 1% who goes out and trains and gets ready, because your test is still going to be there. Whether you're starting training, whatever test you've got coming up, whatever the start of the season's coming up, it's still going to be there. People will sack it and you'll become that 1%. So keep training, find resistance, find somewhere in the house that you can lift something heavy, lift it multiple times and get healthy, get fit, but be that 1%. Yeah, mate, I love that. And I think you can apply that to
everything as well, reading, every education, business, just because people are locked down. Don't say that as an excuse. Yeah, mate, I fucking love that. That's fired me up, mate. I'm looking forward to training now when I get home. I've got my little plan here that you gave me earlier that I'm definitely going to do that. I can do that while I still got a sore back, yeah?
Yeah, get those glutes firing, mate. Sore back, it'll help that back for you, mate. It'll help it.
Guys, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast today. And a big thank you to Coach Mike Chadwick. If you guys enjoyed what Mike had to say, which I'm imagining you do or you wouldn't be with us right now, then check him out, follow him, make sure you give him a follow, support him, share his posts. If you know anyone who fits into the tactical athlete bracket, then give him a share. Tell him about Mike. Share this podcast with him. Let's keep growing, and let's keep growing our guests' followings as well. Let's grow the veteran network. Before we go, guys, I want to say again about how much I appreciate you supporting the podcast. And if you have enjoyed today, and if you'd like to share with a friend, that's fantastic. And if you would like to pick up a copy of Brothers in Arms in paperback, you can get it on Amazon. That's probably the easiest place to get it right now with lockdown going on. And if you could make a post about it, tell a friend about it, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening, guys. We will be back on Thursday with another fantastic guest. Catch you next time. Love you. Bye.
Yeah. Listen. Shout out Teaser. You told me not to worry, and you wouldn't break my heart. You told me you were sorry, yeah, my whole world fell apart. You said it's not my fault, and yeah, I've never done you wrong. I'm grinding to a halt, now I can see you're moving on. I promised I'd get better, and I told you things would change. You keep me to the gutter, yeah, I'll never be the same. I've gotta let you go, now live your life and spread your wings. And yeah, you put on quite a show, and pulled the puppet strings. And are you sure that you don't want me? Remember all the pain, or maybe you should thank me. It's your loss and my gain. I'm leaving now forever, I won't hang my head in shame. But yeah, you've taken me for granted, and you should feel ashamed. You sold a dream to all of us, a dream that we'd all die for, a reason for us all to live and something we could fight for. I might just help a man up to his feet or hold a newborn, but no matter what I do, my hands remembering my rifle, yeah.
Life's hard, I know that, still wouldn't change shit. I wouldn't go back, yeah, I wouldn't go back. Feelings I hold back, memories fade, yeah, they go fast, yeah, they go fast. Good times that come and go, survive the highs and lows, just take it step by step, I guess, yeah, I suppose. Good times that come and go, survive the highs and lows, just take it step by step, I guess, yeah, I suppose.